Airport loudspeakers across North America became weapons of political warfare this week, and Donald Trump was squarely in the crosshairs. While Americans were going about their daily travel, Turkish cybercriminals claiming ties to Hamas launched a coordinated assault on airport public address systems, blasting anti-Trump messages and pro-Palestinian propaganda to unsuspecting passengers. We're talking about a multinational cyber breach that exposed critical vulnerabilities in our transportation infrastructure while delivering a pointed political message. So, what exactly happened? Who was behind it? And what does this mean for airport security moving forward? To understand the full scope of this attack, we need to break down exactly what unfolded on Tuesday evening. The hackers didn't just target one location, they orchestrated a sophisticated campaign across 4 airports spanning 2 countries. At Harrisburg International Airport in Pennsylvania, passengers were suddenly subjected to computer-generated voices, blasting explicit anti-Trump rhetoric. The message was crystal clear and deliberately provocative to anyone listening.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
According to multiple sources, the hackers proclaimed their identity as Turkish Cyber Islam before launching into their political tirade. The recorded message included profanity-laced attacks on both Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, followed by repeated chants of "Free Palestine." This kind of targeted political messaging represents a new evolution in cyber warfare tactics. These weren't random acts of digital vandalism, they were calculated strikes designed to maximize psychological impact and media coverage. The hackers understood that by targeting Trump specifically, they would guarantee widespread attention and amplify their message far beyond the airport terminals themselves. But Pennsylvania wasn't the only target, only. The attack stretched north across the Canadian border, hitting 3 airports in British Columbia and Ontario. Kelowna International Airport, Victoria International Airport, and Windsor International Airport all experienced similar breaches. At Kelowna, the hackers went beyond just audio messages. They actually took control of flight information display screens, broadcasting messages claiming Israel lost the war, Hamas won the war honorably, along with calling Trump a pig. The timing and coordination suggest this wasn't some random act of digital vandalism. These hackers specifically chose airports, spaces where people from diverse backgrounds and political beliefs are captive audiences. They couldn't change the channel, couldn't walk away, and couldn't escape the message. It was psychological warfare delivered through transportation infrastructure. What makes this particularly concerning is how easily the hackers seem to penetrate these systems. According to airport officials, the breaches occurred through third-party cloud-based software that manages public address systems. This reveals a fundamental vulnerability in how airports manage their communications infrastructure. If relatively unknown Turkish hackers can access these systems to broadcast political messages, what could state-sponsored cybercriminals with more resources and malicious intent accomplish? The response from authorities was swift but telling. At Harrisburg International, a Delta flight that was in the process of boarding had to return to the gate for additional security screening. Passengers were removed from the aircraft out of an abundance of caution while TSA conducted a thorough search. No security threats were found, and the flight eventually departed safely, but the incident demonstrates how cyber attacks can create real-world operational disruptions. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy didn't mince words about the severity of the breach. He called the incident absolutely unacceptable and said it understandably scared travelers. The FAA immediately began coordinating with airport officials to investigate the hack and determine how the security breach occurred. What's particularly striking about this attack is its political nature and timing. The hackers specifically targeted Trump in their messages, suggesting this wasn't just about promoting Palestinian causes. It was about directly confronting American political figures. The explicit nature of the anti-Trump rhetoric indicates these weren't hackers seeking to promote dialogue or understanding. They were launching digital attacks designed to shock, provoke, and humiliate. The technical aspects of the breach reveal concerning vulnerabilities in airport infrastructure. Multiple airports confirm that hackers gained access through cloud-based third-party software providers. This means the attack vector wasn't necessarily the airport's direct systems, but rather the external companies they contract with for communications management. It's a classic example of supply chain vulnerabilities, and where organizations become compromised not through their own security failures, but through the security failures of their vendors and partners. At Victoria International Airport, officials described the breach as resulting from a cloud-based software issue, suggesting the hackers exploited weaknesses in external systems rather than directly penetrating airport networks. This distinction is important because it highlights how modern infrastructure dependencies create multiple points of failure that bad actors can exploit. The Canadian airport's response was notably different from their American counterpart. While Harrisburg shut down its entire PA system and conducted additional security screening, the Canadian airports focused on quickly restoring normal operations. Kelowna International managed to remove the unauthorized messages and restore flight display systems relatively quickly, though efforts to fully restore the PA system took longer. The hackers' choice to identify themselves as Turkish Cyber Islam raises questions about their actual affiliations and motivations. While they claim to support Hamas and Palestinian causes, cybersecurity experts note that attribution in digital attacks is notoriously difficult. The hackers could be Turkish nationals, they could be using Turkish infrastructure to mask their true location, or they could be entirely unrelated to Turkey and simply adopting that identity to confuse investigators. What we do know is that the attack required coordination and technical sophistication. The hackers didn't just randomly stumble upon vulnerable airport systems, they identified multiple targets, developed attack strategies for different types of infrastructure, and executed synchronized breaches across international borders. This level of planning suggests organized cybercriminal activity rather than opportunistic hacking. The political messaging also reveals strategic thinking about maximum impact. By targeting airports, the hackers ensured their message would reach diverse audiences and generate significant media coverage. Airports are inherently international spaces where people from different countries, cultures, and political backgrounds converge. The hackers understood that their message would have far greater reach and impact than if they had targeted more isolated systems. The incident also highlights growing concerns about airport cybersecurity more broadly. In July, the FBI issued warnings about a notorious cybercriminal group called Scattered Spider that specifically targets the airline sector. These groups use social engineering techniques to deceive IT help desks and bypass security measures. The fact that different threat actors are actively targeting aviation infrastructure suggests this sector has become a priority for cybercriminals. For passengers caught in the middle of these attacks, the experience was deeply unsettling. At Kelowna, travelers reported confusion and fear as airport staff scrambled to understand what was happening. Staff had to resort to using megaphones to communicate boarding information because the compromised PA system had to be shut down. One passenger told media outlets that nobody informed us what was going on. There was no crisis response. Everyone was just really confused. This passenger experience reveals another dimension of the attack's impact. Beyond the political messaging and security concerns, these breaches create operational chaos that affects thousands of innocent travelers. Flights get delayed, security procedures get disrupted, and passengers face uncertainty and anxiety about their safety. The hackers' actions had real consequences for real people who were simply trying to travel. The investigation into these breaches is ongoing, with both American and Canadian authorities working to determine exactly how the hackers gained access and whether additional airports might be vulnerable. The FBI, FAA, TSA, and Canadian cybersecurity agencies are all involved in the investigation. However, the international nature of the attack and the apparent use of foreign infrastructure will likely complicate efforts to identify and prosecute the perpetrators. What's particularly concerning is that these appear to be relatively small regional airports rather than major international hubs. Harrisburg International, Kelowna, Victoria, and Windsor are all smaller facilities that might have fewer cybersecurity resources, than major airports like JFK or LAX. This suggests the hackers may have specifically targeted what they perceived as softer targets with weaker security measures. The timing of the attack also raises questions. Why now? Why these specific airports? Why this particular combination of anti-Trump and pro-Palestinian messaging? The answers to these questions could provide important insights into the hackers' broader objectives and whether this attack is part of a larger campaign of cyber warfare, targeting American infrastructure and critical figures. From a cybersecurity perspective, this incident serves as a wake-up call for the aviation industry. If hackers can easily access airport PA systems to broadcast political messages, what other critical systems might be vulnerable? Could similar techniques be used to disrupt air traffic control communications, manipulate flight information displays with dangerous misinformation, or compromise other safety-critical systems? The response from airport officials suggests they're taking these concerns seriously. Multiple facilities have begun reviewing their cybersecurity protocols and examining their relationships with third-party software providers. However, the fundamental challenge remains. Modern airports rely on complex networks of interconnected systems, many managed by external vendors, creating numerous potential attack vectors that are difficult to secure comprehensively. For Trump, this attack represents yet another front in the ongoing political battles surrounding his presidency. The hackers specifically chose to target him alongside Netanyahu, linking American politics to Middle Eastern conflicts in their messaging. While Trump hasn't yet publicly responded to these specific attacks, the incident adds to the broader narrative of international actors attempting to influence or disrupt American political discourse through cyber means. The broader implications extend beyond airport security to questions about critical infrastructure protection. If relatively unknown hackers can compromise airport communication systems for political messaging, what could more sophisticated state actors accomplish against power grids, water systems, or financial networks? This attack serves as a reminder that cybersecurity isn't just about protecting data. It's about protecting the fundamental systems that keep society functioning. Moving forward, airport authorities and cybersecurity experts will need to develop more robust defenses against these types of attacks. This might include better vetting of third-party software providers, more sophisticated monitoring of communication systems, and improved incident response procedures. The goal isn't just to prevent political messaging from being broadcast, it's to ensure that critical transportation infrastructure remains secure and reliable. The international nature of this attack also highlights the need for better coordination between American and Canadian authorities on cybersecurity matters. Threats don't respect national borders, and neither should our defensive strategies. The fact that hackers could seamlessly move between American and Canadian targets suggests the need for more integrated approaches to protecting North American infrastructure. As investigations continue, one thing is clear. This attack represents a new chapter in the intersection of cybercrime, political warfare, and infrastructure vulnerability. The hackers succeeded in delivering their message, disrupting airport operations, and exposing security weaknesses. Whether this encourages copycat attacks or serves as a catalyst for improved cybersecurity measures remains to be seen. What we can say with certainty is that the age of purely physical security at airports is over. The threats now include digital attacks that can turn routine PA announcements into weapons of political warfare, transforming airports from neutral transportation hubs into battlegrounds for international conflicts and domestic political disputes. The question isn't whether similar attacks will happen again. It's whether we'll be better prepared when they do.
Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. We need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. And one of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks.
On US
I think we're
Can I-
I think
can
we're
I-
fairly I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say,
Yeah, please.
just you to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such.
The aviation industry, government agencies, and cybersecurity professionals must work together to ensure that our critical infrastructure can withstand not just physical threats, but the evolving landscape of digital warfare that seeks to exploit our technological dependencies for political gain.